It's no secret that the Rings of Power was a complete dumpster fire. And after sucking this show off for over a year and a half before it even came out, eventually even the media acknowledged this. But instead of canceling the show, not only are we getting a season 2, but apparently they're already starting early work on season 3. Because you see, in woke Hollywood, people tend to fail upwards. So even though fans hated this show, even though most critics couldn't even pretend to like this show, no matter how hard they tried, instead of canceling it, Amazon is doubling down. Instead of at the very least hiring new writers, Amazon just signed a new 3-year deal with the same writers that wrote the shit show that was Rings of Power Season 1. These people will literally never, ever learn. As you know, some people think that, oh, well, if Season 2 doesn't do good, maybe there won't be a Season 3. I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter how big of a failure Season 2 is. I don't care if only 13 people tune in. They're going to crank out a Season 3 because they've decided that it's important for them to destroy Lord of the Rings in any way, shape, or form. They don't care how much money they have to spend to tarnish Tolkien's legacy. They're going to do anything in their power to do so. They already made that decision before they even put out Rings of Power Season 1. If you thought that they cared about quality, if you thought that they cared about the reception, if you even thought they cared about ratings, you were wrong. I think the Star Wars shows and the Marvel shows have proven that the agenda, it trumps everything. The agenda is more important than any other aspect. It's more important than money. It's more important than, having high praise from critics. No, the agenda is more important. And they want to destroy the Lord of the Rings. But after we sat by and watched Star Wars be destroyed, as we're currently watching the MCU be ripped apart, the Rings of Power was really a turning point in this culture war, if you ask me. It's when the tide really started turning. It's when the pendulum really started swinging back the other way. Because when I look around, I notice a difference. I notice that audiences are finally starting to respond. Like, a lot of us have spotted the agenda a long time ago. But even the regular audience, the audience that's not paying attention for the things that we're paying attention for, they're starting to realize that not only do these shows suck, but they suck for a reason. And I was there at one point trying to figure out, why do these comics suck? Why do these new shows suck? Why do these new movies suck? It takes a while sometimes for people to put all of the pieces to the puzzle together and to realize that there's an agenda at play here. It's not just incompetent film writers and incompetent storytellers and incompetent directors, which, most of these people absolutely suck and are unqualified for the job. But it's more so the agenda at play that is ruining everything. The funniest part about the whole Rings of Power situation, though, was the fact that SJWs all pretended to be like Lord of the Rings fans for a few weeks, and then they all disappeared out of nowhere. On Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, there's always like these bot accounts, these people who are behind anime profile pictures. They may have like 100 followers on Twitter. They'll post something like, "The Rings of Power is awesome." And they'll have all of this fake bot engagement, like 15,000 likes out of nowhere. Well, all of these people who pretended to be Rings of Power fans, they all fell off the map. They completely disappeared. You don't see any conversation surrounding this show. You don't see any hype surrounding this show at all. You know, I'm a real fan, a real pop culture fan. So I've been to several comic conventions and stuff since then. You don't see anyone cosplaying as Rings of Power Medea. You still see people cosplaying as Frodo. You see people cosplaying as Gandalf. You don't see people cosplaying Elf Don Lemon. You know what I mean? So it's like these fans of the Rings of Power. I'm really questioning if they were even real people or just like fake internet accounts. Because I've never interacted with a single person in real life that liked or even watched the show. And out of all the comic conventions I've gone to, I don't see anyone cosplaying as these characters. I don't see any products of these characters being sold. Nothing. So it's really as if this show basically doesn't exist. The only reason it existed was to piss off the fans of The Lord of the Rings. And I think it did a good job at that, at least. And you know, when it comes to Star Wars, I feel like a lot of people, including myself, I was even a tad bit fooled at first with The Force Awakens. When it comes to the MCU, I loved the MCU up until a certain point. But when it comes to this Rings of Power, when it comes to whatever the hell Amazon and these weirdos are trying to do, it's like we immediately said nope. And it's like in my mind, this show doesn't even exist. I didn't watch past episode 1. I know a lot of people wanted me to critique the show and put out reviews. And I know a lot of other people did. But honestly, I've gotten to the point where I'm not going to subject myself to some of the crap that Hollywood is putting out. So the only time that I even acknowledge that the Rings of Power exist is when I make little videos like these. Because overall, I think as a fan base, not just for the Lord of the Rings, but as pop culture fans in general, as like geeks and comic book nerds in general, I think a lot of us just collectively said, nope, we're going to just pretend like this doesn't exist. You know, like The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi and all of that stuff, it happened, all right? It happened. And we can't go back. But when it comes to the Rings of Power, we can simply act as if this never happened. Screw these people. Because we have 3 amazing Lord of the Rings films. And yeah, I wish we lived in a perfect world where if they were going to try to tell new stories in this universe, I wish they would at the very least, try to do it justice. But we know that's not even on their agenda. We know that's not their priority. We know that's not a part of their plan at all. Their plan is to shit all over The Lord of the Rings. That's what Rings of Power Season 1 did. That's what Season 2 will do. And that's what Season 3 will do. And no matter how big of a failure, no matter how big of a flop these shows are, they're going to continue trying to run it into the ground. Because their job was not accomplished with Rings of Power Season 1. Because like I said, a lot of us just pretended like it didn't exist. It's like the equivalent of a little kid putting their hands over their ears. La, 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 can't hear you, can't hear you. That's kind of how a lot of us treated the Rings of Power. And because of that, they're trying to punish us with another season. And then they're going to try to punish us with another season. And then there will be something after that. And then something after that. It's going to be never ending. But I'm thinking that maybe there is some hope at the end of the tunnel. But when it comes to pre-existing IPs that have been bought already by these powerful woke organizations, you know, I think we got to give up hope when it comes to a lot of these. You know what I mean? But these shows will never be the real Lord of the Rings. It will never be Tolkien's real work. So there's no need to even acknowledge it as if it's legitimate. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you want to donate to the channel, you can do so via CashApp or you can help the channel for free by subscribing, ringing that notification bell, and more. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.